My banner is very good. It's going to be very interesting today. I have a mother of 6 who's promised herself she's going to travel the world over. And so far, if I'm not mistaken, she's been to about 80 different countries. Yes. And she's a Ghanaian. Of course, she's Ghanaian, and she's a writer as well. She's written a rather inspirational story on how to live your best life. We'll talk about that as well. Let me introduce to you Princess Umul Hattiya Ibrahim Mahama. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You don't say that you've been to 80 countries.
It's actually 34 countries on 5 continents.
Oh, okay.
So I've, just started.
35.
34. Yes.
34. Even
on
still,
5.
that's a lot.
That's a lot because I've been to about 43 cities. So yes,
Wow.
that's a lot.
Which one was your very first? Accra is number 1.
Yes, of course. Accra is number 1. I'm trying to think if it's maybe Ouagadougou or Lomé.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, either one of them.
So how did you do it? You started with the African countries first?
Yes. What happened was, I always wanted to travel around the world. When I was a kid, I loved geography. It's my favorite subject. So I just thought, wow. I started to read about, people like Marco Polo, Ibn Battuta, who was the first African explorer. Ibn Battuta was from Morocco. He traveled, from up to China. So that whole interest, was sparked. But about 7 years ago, I actually met a lady I talk about in the book. I call her my angel. She was a Japanese lady who came she was living in New York at the time and came to travel through West Africa. And I was blown away because she was a single woman. She was 24. So I promised myself that the next year I will do a trip like that. Yes.
This is one of those things that a lot of us would dream about, but doing it, I mean, there's the issue with costs,
yes.
Funding,
yeah.
Because a lot of us would think, oh, where am I going to sleep? Even if I get the money to get the visa and then buy the ticket, where am I going to sleep and all that? Did you think about any of these things?
Traveling, and I mean the kind of way I travel is nothing like you are thinking. It's not luxury. It's not first class. It's none of that.
So how do you travel?
I am a backpacker. So to speak. So I can sleep in the most basic. I can sleep on the floor. I can sleep on a mat. I can sleep on a mattress. I can sleep in the most base in a tent. And I sleep like that when I travel. So it tends to be so much cheaper than you are thinking.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, it's still unbelievable. Usually we hear other people from maybe Europe or the US come down and they say they're traveling around. I know some people save just a holiday
yes.
in places and their whole life savings is gone. They'll have to start all over again. But I didn't think a Ghanaian would actually do that. But let me just say, I mean, your name is Ibrahim Mahama, so perhaps you're related to the president, and that's how come you're able to do this.
I have
so
all these
are you related to him?
No, I'm not related to him. No, like I said, it's not as expensive. You'd really have to, be conscious about how you spend money. So when I travel, the first thing I do is I stay in places that gives me access to a kitchen. So I don't eat in hotels or restaurants. I mean, if I eat in a restaurant, it's a one-off. But I cook my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I actually pack my lunch when I'm sightseeing or when I'm doing things.
So you take, for instance, like Gary and Shito along?
Well, in the beginning, I would do. But now, no. You just go to the local market. And I don't shop in supermarkets. You go to the local market and buy the fresh, if it's potatoes, yams, rice, or whatever, and vegetables. And then I cook.
Most importantly, what have you discovered, traveling around, and how has that influenced you?
Oh my God, I have changed so much because, travel just makes you receptive and open to others. I mean, my level of tolerance now is, I don't even know what to say, but it's so high. You tolerate others because you see people in different cultures. I tell you this, being in Morocco, because I had, preconceived ideas about how the Arabs are supposed to behave. But in Morocco, you see men, carrying the children, kissing them, holding them. And you see women, they wear, you know, they wear well, not everyone wears the burqa, but they wear a scarf. You know, they wear sunglasses, they wear jeans, they wear shoes just like your shoes.
Oh, so they don't, you know, they don't cover their whole...
Not everybody does. And it's just a minute, you know, number of people that covers their whole body and wears the burqa. But most people are, you know, fashionable. They have the headscarf on, but, I mean, you know, they dress normally.
Are you comfortable in a place like that?
I'm very comfortable because you know, you come to realize that many people respect travelers and they're kind to them. So you know, you won't feel threatened or uncomfortable, you know, if you dress decently. And that's how, you know, what I would normally do.
You know, I started by saying my guest is a mother of 6, so you've got children, you've got a whole lot of responsibilities. How are you able to combine the two? You know,
you must have a mindset of a traveler. You know, like anything else. If you were starting a business today and you had children, I would be asking you the same thing, because you would take your energy, your money, you know, all of that into the business. But you must have a mindset of a traveler or a business person or whatever it is you're trying to embark on, because the mindset of a traveler is very different from an ordinary person. You know, you have to think, you know, how are we going to work around it? So I travel when the children are in school. When they're on holidays, I don't travel.
How old is your youngest?
She's 5.
Okay.
She's 5. So she's, you know, she can get around. But I just make sure I travel when they're in school because they have a routine. And I also make sure I don't travel for more than 6 weeks at a time. That would be too much. So 6 weeks is my maximum.
Okay. So for you, I mean, you write as well. We'll get into your book, the Mad Duck.
Yes.
But when you travel, is it like a business for you?
Well, maybe we can say, but I think for me, travel is a time I get to learn. You know, I get to grow, I get to discover, I get to become. Because the process of traveling, you know, it's not easy. So you learn and you stretch. Because I tell you this, you know, I eat soup every day. You know, my favorite food is TZ. Or, you know, these are the things that I eat all the time. So you can imagine being in Asia for 6 weeks and I had to eat rice every day. You know, it was, you know, I'm not a rice fan. I could go for months and not eat rice. So you change, you know, you learn to adapt. So for me, travel is about that. It's about growth and about learning. That's what it's about.
My mindset is usually money, 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 money. I'm looking for opportunities where I can make money. So as you were talking, I was thinking, so how does she make money, you know? So how do you make money?
Well, I'm into business as well. And so all the money I have in this world is, you know, is for travel. That's just how I put it. So all my savings, anything, and I write. You know, this is my first book, but I, you know, write, you know, publications and all of that. So any opportunity, you know, to make money, I teach. I'm an inspirational teacher, so when I go on these talks, so any opportunity to make money, I do make the money and save it, you know, to travel. And I must say this as well, you know, for me, I spend on the experience of things. So, you know, I don't have any of these gadgets. You know, I don't want to mention any names, but, you know, I don't have any of those ones.
Because I saw your phone, very simple.
I know. I say my phone is a 1950s mobile phone. It doesn't even have a WhatsApp on it.
Yeah, but who cares about WhatsApp when you can make and receive phone calls?
Exactly, and send text messages. So that's what it is for me.
But you know, this is very inspirational, particularly to a lot of women, because we do say that we have to juggle. I mean, if you're married, then you a husband. If you have children, that's children, and then you have your job as well. So we say we usually don't have time for ourselves. But to look at you, you don't have 1, 2, 3 children. You actually have 6, and you still have the time to do what is fun to you. I think that is inspirational.
Yeah, you know, everything, like I said in the beginning, it's about the mindset. You know, and we work our lives around, you know, our lifestyle. So, I mean, truthfully, we don't really watch any TV. We just, you know, we spend time talking to each other. We do a lot of reading. We go to bed very early. I go to bed very early and I wake up very early. So that way I can write, I can think, I can plan before the children wake up and the house turns into a mini stadium.
So we'll come to the book pretty shortly. How are you able to still look very good, very young, actually?
You know, I am an exercise junkie. I cycle. I'm not cycling as much anymore. I'm actually running now because this year myself and the children, we have 2 international marathons we want to compete in. So I'm running all the time, and I drink only water. I don't drink, you know, anything else apart from tea.
Okay.
You know, I drink just water.
But
and
you
a
eat
lot
solid
of
food, don't you? Okay.
I eat.
Okay.
I told you my favorite food is tuozafi or banku, no crew soup. So yes.
Okay. So you've written a book, which is your very first book.
Yes, my first
book. Tell us about it.
Wow, the Mad Duck has been possibly 14 months in the making. I started writing it on the 1st of December 2012, you know, and I wrote for 3 hours every day consistently. You know, every day I wrote. You know, some days I would write a page, some days I would write a sentence, and, you know, scratch my head and think, why have I just written 1 sentence in 3 hours? But the Mad Duck is an inspirational book on how to live your best life. Because with all the travels that I embark on, I see so many, you know, I see people do different things. I see how people live in other countries. And it's just infusing, you know, the stories with success principles of how to really live a life you are excited about. Because you're supposed to wake up every day, you know, thrilled, you know, with passion, you know, just being grateful to be alive. So when, you know, and a lot of people don't tend to live like that. So it's just an inspirational book to get you thinking about the real issues, you know, of life, you know, things that are most important. That's what the Mad Duck is about.
I hope you wouldn't mind sharing with us some of the highlights. Yeah.
Well, yes, in the Mad Duck, we talk about purpose, because purpose is the primary reason why we're here. If you wake up with a sense of purpose, I mean, you will have passion. Because once you discover purpose, then your energy, your money, everything is channeled. You know, you don't tend to complain, you don't tend to worry, because you are doing something, you are about something. So we talk about purpose. You know, and I also share a story about why I want to be a Canadian and not a Canadian citizen.
Do you want to be a Canadian?
Yes, I want to be a Canadian.
Oh, you've been there?
I've been to Canada, and currently Canada is, you know, one of my favorite countries in the world. Now, when I say I want to be a Canadian, not that I want to emigrate to Canada, because I'm a proud citizen of Ghana. I would never live anywhere else in the world. I would live here. I love living here. But I think the Canadians just taught me something. You know, they're friendly and they're kind.
They don't discriminate.
They
don't. Racism, because that's another fear. That's
another fear. No, they're warm and they'll talk to strangers. So yes, that's why I want to be a Canadian. And I also share my experiences about music. Because, you know, scientists have proven that music makes you happy. So when you wake up and you are sad, you're supposed to be singing, because when you sing, you will be happy.
It's true.
Yeah,
I have tried that.
You have tried that.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things we talk. So it's important to sing every day and dance every single day. Yes. So I try to do that, to sing every day and dance every day. So whenever you wake up and you think, oh, today is, you know, the first thing you should do is start to sing. Because think about it, you can't be singing and miserable at the same time.
Of course.
When you're singing, you will be happy. Yes.
Can you just show us the book that we're talking about?
Yes.
The Mad Duck. And where did the title come from? This is the Mad Duck.
The Mad Duck. Well, the Mad Duck is a different kind of a duck, because ducks swim, but this duck is a skiing duck. And it's basically to say, yes, it's a duck that skis. It's basically to say, to live your best life, you have to be different. You know, you must be different. You can't conform. You can't be like everybody else. You have to stand out. You have to be unique. You have to be who God created you to be. So that's, you know, that's where the title, and it's definitely a mad duck, because it's a skiing duck.
Because, I mean, who's ever seen a duck that's gone mad before? I mean, do we take the meaning literally like that?
Well, we can, because if a duck has gone mad and is skiing, then it's a good thing. So yes, we can.
You're also a philanthropist.
Yes.
So, you know, who do you help?
Well, 5 years ago, I founded an organization called the PUH Foundation, and I actually embarked on a bicycle ride from Accra to Tamale, you know, to build a primary school in a village near Tamale. And well, the PUH Foundation has currently built 3 primary schools in deprived communities in the northern region.
Okay.
So the schools exist, they were seated on the floors. You know, they had no classrooms. You know, and then we provided them with classrooms, libraries, books, you know, furniture, and that's what the PUH Foundation has done in the past 5 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So, you know, reading about you, you were a banker before.
I was.
So you were working in the banking hall. You were seeing a lot of money.
I was.
Why did you decide to leave?
You know, banking is not for me at all. As you know, as much as I'm disciplined, but I was not passionate about banking. You know, I'm passionate about bringing change and development and traveling and writing, and I couldn't live my dreams in that environment. So I just felt that, you know, it was time to actually go and live my dreams, because I only have one life, and I've decided that I'm going to live it to the maximum, because you know, not everyone gets the opportunity to live till they're about 80, you know. So I just say, look, if I'm going to be around for a short while or a long while, I might as well, you know, live fully and enjoy every single minute of it.
So what do you want people who grab this book to read? What do you want them to take out of it?
You know, I want them to take out the fact that you can actually live your dreams. It's not impossible. You know, you don't have to be, you know, in the West. You don't have to be, you know, you can live your dreams right here in Ghana. But you have to have a mindset change. And the book will inspire you to actually do that and take action. Because it's, I mean, just reading about it's not going to help. But you have to read about it, and you have to act on what you are reading about. That way you will bring change.
So has it been launched?
It's going to be launched tomorrow. Yes.
I didn't know that,
yes.
honestly.
It's going to be launched tomorrow at the Holiday Inn at 5:45 p.m. and it will be in all leading bookstores from Thursday.
From Thursday.
Yes.
All leading bookstores across the country.
Across the country from Thursday.
Okay, so is anybody and everybody invited to the launch?
Well, yes. Yes, everyone is invited. It's yeah, to the launch. Yeah.
I just want you to say something to women. You know, the fact that you're a woman and the fact that you're doing all these things, you still have yourself in check because you look so good. I mean, that speaks a lot.
You know, you have to decide. I think that it stems from a decision, you know, to live your, you know, be all you know, God has created you to be, and you can be. I think most times, you know, women, we tend to conform. You know, if you're a mother, you're expected to look a certain way, or if you, I mean, all of that is, you know, they are just rules. I don't know who set for us.
But what if, you know, you think that your challenges are a lot? You think that, oh, okay, yeah, Princess is saying all that because perhaps she has people around her who support her and that kind of thing, but me, I don't have any support.
Look, I mean, if we want to go into the detail, I mean, life is tough for everybody, because your challenge may be completely different from mine. But if I told you about mine, you couldn't bear it, you know, because like you said, I mean, having, you know, 6 children, that's a lot of responsibility. But you can actually start to bloom from where you are. Don't make excuses. It's easy for me to say my children are taking all my time and all my money. I'm going to sit here and do nothing. It's easy for me to do that. But rise up, you know, be bold, be brave, be courageous. Because God has created you with so much potential. And you are here to make a difference. You're a change agent. You know, so be all of that. Be all of that. Just don't let life, you know, slip you by because you are a mother or because you think you don't have money. You have something. You may not have cash, but you have something. You may have a network. You may know somebody. You can get a book and learn. You know, you can serve. You can volunteer. You can do so much. So don't make excuses. Get out there and live. That's what I'll say.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So can I ask you where next? Where are you going?
Well, where next?
Have you thought about it?
I always do. I think I'm going to focus on Southern Africa and South America.
Why Southern Africa?
Currently, I've been to, I think, just about 17 countries in Africa. And Africa, for me, is key. I must see the entire continent before I see, you know, the entire continent of Europe or the, you know, the Americas. So I want to concentrate on Southern Africa because it's in Africa. And just to experience the diversity and the richness of their culture. So That's why it's Southern Africa.
You also call the globe-trotting princess.
Yes.
It's obvious why you're called that, but where did it come from?
I just dreamed up the idea. I sat down one day and thought, well, of course, that's who I am. I'm a globe-trotting princess, so that's it. Because princess is my name, and I travel around the world. So let's fuse the two words, and voila, globe-trotting princess.
Okay, so somebody's watching you right now, but the person wants, if you like, more of you.
Yes.
Is there more of you somewhere on the internet?
Yes, there is. You just go to www.theglobetrottingprincess.com. So it's theglobetrottingprincess.com, and I have, there's so much information, there about what I do and all of that.
Okay, so and you said you're helping some schools, or you help.
Yes,
we
put up primary schools
for some schools in the north.
Yes.
And quickly, what are you going to do it across the country,
exactly,
or you're focusing solely on the north?
No,
perhaps because you come from there.
Oh, not at all. No, our future projects are in different parts of Ghana. Our future projects are going to be in different parts, because we're looking at deprived communities, and definitely the northern regions are not the only deprived communities. There are some deprived communities in the northern Volta. So, and there's
in all the regions in Ghana,
of course, even in Greater Accra. Yeah. So no, we're going to focus it on other parts.
All right, Princess, I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have learned a lot.
Thank you so much.
I'll check myself again. Now I have no excuse.
You surely don't. You have
so
no
the lunch
excuse.
is on tomorrow.
Yes,
at the Holiday Inn Hotel.
Yes.
You said at 4:30 or 5:30?
No, 5:30.
5:30.
Yes.
And everybody and anybody is invited.
Well, yes, yes, because the books are going to be auctioned, and then 10% of the proceeds of the book is going to the PUH Foundation, so we can continue to build primary schools. So that's what it's about.
You're an inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for being here.
Thank you very much
and for being my guest on my banner. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
So the AM show still continues, but not until I share with you this interesting piece that I pulled out. Okay, well, let me just say that Patricia Gasu helped pull it out for me. It says couples in Denmark are being encouraged to travel to help boost the country's falling birth rate in a hilarious new advert. The Do It for Denmark clip explains how getting away from it all boosts men and women's libidos. So with a therapist claiming nearly half of couples have more sex when on holiday, and the tongue-in-cheek video says 10% of all Danish children are conceived while abroad, with the producer's Spice Travel offering a free holiday to anyone who conceives on one of its ovulation discount trips. Now, the voiceover of the Do It for Denmark campaign asks, can sex have Denmark's future? Adding, Denmark faces a problem. So just before I just finally say thank you to you, they say when people go on trips, they have a lot of sex.
Yes.
Therefore, conceive that. Has that happened to you? Okay, so no comments. Thank you so much.
No comments.
Yeah.